Welcome to Not the 9 to 5,
the podcast for freelancers
by freelancers.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out,
join us as we share insights, tips and stories
to help you thrive in the world of independent work.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Francesca.
We are two freelancers exploring the highs, lows
and everything in between. So grab your coffee, kick back,
and let's dive into another episode of Not the 9 to 5.
Katheryn Siggers.
Francesca Marago. Hello.
We're back again.
We are back on another rainy day in the UK.
I know, but what a series. What a series it's been so far.
What a series. I can't actually believe it.
I know, we've spoken to people everywhere.
Crazy.
Yeah, literally.
Yes. So, but who have we got today?
So we've got Tasha Prados here today.
Ooh,
you see what I did there?
Great pronunciation.
Thank you. She is the founder of Duraka Strategic and business coach for service-based entrepreneurs. After 4 years at a top 3 global ad agency, Tasha quit to start Duraka Strategic in 2019. Duraka is Puerto Rican for tough cookie, and that was her nickname growing up. So we'll dive straight into that soon. And she became a digital nomad from that. Her true passion is helping small business owners make a bigger impact by helping them get clear and specific on their branding and messaging so they can attract the highest quality dream clients. Lots to unpack.
My goodness, so much to unpack. Let's start with this tough cookie reference. Tell us about that.
Duraka was my dad's nickname for me growing up. It's a Puerto Rican word, and it means tough cookie, and I think it fits my personality kind of well as well. So when I was trying to decide on a name for the business, it just seemed like a really good fit. I didn't want to just go with my name, but I wanted to go with something personal to me. It's kind of funny because when I'm advising entrepreneurs about how to name their business, I usually will start with try to make it something that people can understand. If they don't know you, have no idea who you are, have no idea what you do. And obviously Duraka is not that. But I also tell them that, hey, you're your own boss. It's your own business. You have to love it. So do what feels right and do what feels good. And so it's been great for me. And I actually have a second business too, called Duraka Travels. I have a digital nomad blog. And I just got my Duraka tattoo earlier this year in Mexico, my first tattoo. My dad died in November 22. So it was kind of a nice way to tie everything together. And yeah, it means a lot to me.
That's lovely.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's so much there. I'm just trying to reconfigure. So tell us then about your journey and what interested you then into, building your own business and living that digital nomad lifestyle.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is pre-pandemic when remote work was not a thing. And I've been living in DC. I'm from the DC area. I've been working at this big top 3 global advertising agency, living in DC. On paper, everything was great. I was making a good salary. I was dating a guy in DC, and I don't want to call it quite a quarter life crisis, but I was kind of is this all there is? And I really just got in my head the idea of being a digital nomad. And I really love the idea of working and traveling at the same time. And I figured the only way I could really do that was to start my own business, which I didn't really want to do because both of my parents were self-employed and I saw how tough it was for them. But I was this seems like the only solution. I didn't have a great plan. I quit my job, sold all my stuff, got a one-way ticket to Bali. And I had this idea that at the time, Bali was this digital nomad capital of the world. And I had this idea I was going to go, and I did go all around Bali on my little scooter doing workshops at co-working spaces, thinking digital nomads would sign up to work with me. And what I found was that everything on Instagram was not reality, and not everybody there, most people there, a lot of people there were not these super successful entrepreneurs they were portraying themselves as. And I was running through my savings. I was very quickly okay, I need to figure something else out. And so I sort of pivoted, and then knock on wood, since then, things have been pretty good. I went from, struggling to sell $300 coaching packages to now I've worked with CEOs of $60 million, $100 million companies like Amazon, Facebook, Slack. I sell 5- and 6-figure coaching packages to cold leads. And I really love the work that I do. I love my clients. They get amazing results. And I also get to live the life that I want and envision. Like right now, today, I'm in the French Alps. And, before this, I was in Barcelona. This morning, I literally went for a Via Ferrata hike for like 4 hours. So I'm kind of living the dream, I feel like.
Oh my gosh, that's
That sounds
insane.
amazing. Can you tell us then how you went from the kind of barely making, like, you saying you could barely sell your $300 packages to now selling 5 and 6 figure? Like, what's the transition? How did you make
I
that
know.
transition?
It's such a crazy transition, right? And the thing is that I didn't change. Like my skill set didn't change. And this is what I teach my clients now. I literally just did a webinar on this yesterday about how to get higher quality clients. This is a big thing I do inside of my premium clients unlocked accelerator, because it has made such a huge difference for me and my business to go from struggling to make ends meet and working with clients I would call like low quality clients. I mean, you girls probably know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I'm sure you've been dealt with like people who are ghosting you, asking you a million times for a proposal, never getting back to you. Maybe then they show up as a client. They're like super demanding. They're like expecting you to do everything in the world for like no money whatsoever. Like they choose the cheapest package and they like want the like Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
So the truth is that there's so much that you can do. And this is what I discovered. There's so much that you can really do in how you position yourself, how you message your offers, how you market your business, and then how you lead people through the sales process, how you onboard them as a client, how you set boundaries with them. That can turn someone who would potentially be a low quality client into a high quality client, and also how you can just filter out the people who are not going to be the best of news. So it's a lot about brand positioning. It's a lot about messaging. It's a lot about your marketing strategy. It's a lot about your sales process. And those are some lessons I had to sort of learn the hard way.
Oh my gosh. And obviously you said that you were based in the States originally, so you must have had a pool of maybe US clients, and then when you started to venture into the digital nomad traveling lifestyle, did you then get more, say, European clients and things like that? Like how did that work? Because I'm assuming from the outside you're like working around the clock because of the time zones and the time differences, right?
No, it's really the opposite.
Oh,
I only have a few calls a day, so I just kind of schedule those whenever is best for me. And I tell my clients, don't expect me to get back to you like in 2 seconds. I just don't think that's a good way to work. I don't do my best work that way. So I'm very strategic with how I sort of structure my life, structure my day. To answer your question, when I was in the US, I was working full time, so I didn't have my business yet. When I went to Bali, I thought I was going to get all these digital nomad clients, and that didn't really work out. So then I started, I have worked with a lot of US clients. I work with some European clients. I work with some clients in Asia. But I'd say primarily the US, just because that's like the region I know the best.
mm-hmm.
And that's like where I'm from. So it's kind of, I don't know, it just sort of is a very natural fit. But I've worked with entrepreneurs from all over the world, and I've also worked with companies that are global. So totally.
Wow. Go for
I
it.
just want to go back to that comment that you made about when you went to Bali, and it wasn't all was cracked up to seem, right? There was loads of people on Instagram that seemed like they were living this successful life. Would it be fair to say that we shouldn't believe everything we see on social media?
Oh my gosh, yes. And this is a big thing actually that comes up in my coaching with my clients too, is that even if it's not people being fake, right? I think entrepreneurs feel so much pressure to show up as very successful, on social media. And it's so funny because I work with multi-6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs, and they are having the same freakouts that you guys are. Okay. Behind the scenes, like I have clients who are like, they're so afraid to start their businesses because they're like, oh my God, everyone else is so much further ahead of me. Like, I'll never be able to catch up. Like, what's the point in starting now? Like, everyone else has it so figured out. They all have these perfect businesses. Their business is such a well-oiled machine. That's not the case. Like, do not let that deter you. Like, I have seen behind the scenes of those businesses, and it is kind of crazy. Some of the people out there who are making bank, who have so little systems and structure set up, and really everything is not as polished. Like, I just worked with a coaching client who had a total freak out meltdown and like couldn't do a launch, you know, like they have failed launches, they lose clients, like they are just like you, but they just push past the fear and they do it anyway. They're not afraid to fail. You know, they know that one failed launch or like one dropped client is normal and is gonna happen. And so they just continue to move forward. They get coaching, they get support, they get help with the things they need help with. It's really, I was just talking about this yesterday. It's so, I hate that like our culture has made it seem like overnight success is feasible and is easy. And it's like, you're going to post one TikTok and it's going to go viral and then your life is going to be made. It's like the people you see who are like an overnight success, they've put in years of effort to get there. You know what I mean? And so it's really not realistic to expect yourself to start a business and for it to support you right away. Like it takes time, it takes trial and error. Like literally that's why people hire me. Like you can't expect yourself to know all these things off the bat. Like you're really good at whatever it is you do. If you're, you know, a writer or, you know, a brand designer, like that's your skill set. Like, of course you don't know how to like position your brand and message it and market it and sell it to people. Like those are skills you are not born knowing and you have to learn them. You can either spend years of trial and error learning them, or you can, you know, hire someone like me to help you figure it out faster. But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight and you can't expect it to.
And how does it work with, I mean, because you're working with so many different types of companies, have you ever had a company where you didn't quite, it was harder to navigate what they wanted or navigate their strategy or understand their company? Because I guess every company is different. Like you've got a financial company that's different from a production company and whatever. Do you have to alter your techniques and your skill set to help them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I primarily work with service-based entrepreneurs and like purpose-driven businesses. So a lot of freelancers, a lot of consultants in my coaching business. And then in my consulting business, I'll usually work with bigger companies. And I mean, I think to some extent, I think service-based businesses are fairly different from a product-based business, because a product-based business has a lot of like overhead costs and like determinations in terms of like physical products. I'm not an expert in that. So I don't market myself to product-based businesses, although I have worked with several product-based businesses and helped them become very successful.
Would you say it's all down to the strategy that is put in place then?
I think a lot of it is strategy. Also, a lot of what I find working with, and I'm a strategy gal, like I'm always about the strategy, but also a big thing that I've found, especially working with early and even mid and honestly even successful entrepreneurs, is like mindset is so huge. And I used to think that I was like, oh, mindset, like what's that? Like it's so silly, like limiting beliefs, stupid. Like, but it's like it's real. Like almost every single client I've ever worked with has some form of imposter syndrome, has moments where they're totally freaking out, where they're like, why am I doing this? Is this gonna work out? Has those moments of doubt. You know, you have a down month, you have someone who you thought was going to become a client and then didn't. Whatever it is that like gets in your head and starts to affect, like people can take it personally and can start to think like, oh, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the product or the service that I'm offering? Like, am I not good enough? And that's when it can be really tricky, because that's when it starts to impact your behavior and the actions that you're taking. And so you might think like, oh, this launch isn't going well because, I'm not good enough. But actually it turns out the launch wasn't going well because you got in your head and you stopped showing up, right? Like you're generating the energy behind it. So it's like, if you don't believe in yourself, no one is going to hire you, right? Especially not premium clients. So it is so important to have belief in yourself and your abilities and the skills and your prices and be able to stand behind those if you want to work with premium clients.
Yeah. And it's, we always talk about imposter syndrome and getting stuck in your head, and it's just like a downward spiral, isn't it? I mean, sometimes it's good to just feel it for that moment and then shift it off and move on. because then you just get stuck in this stagnant energy. And yeah, you're right with the energy thing. It's like what you project out is what you receive, and we believe that so much on this podcast and in life. So yeah, all in agreement.
It's just not realistic to expect a business to just be up all the time, right? Inevitably, you're going to have things that go wrong. Inevitably, you're going to have some down months. And especially in the beginning, when you're just starting out and figuring things out, it's not necessarily always going to be all smooth sailing, right? It's going to take some trial and error. And so kind of having the mental toughness and ideally also the support to go through those moments. Like, a lot of my job, yes, is helping my clients be like, okay, like let's do this tactic, like let's do this strategy, like, oh, let's tweak this, let's refine this. But a lot of it is also like, you go, girl, like you've got this, you're so good at this, like, don't you remember how amazing you are? And like, yes, go out there, like do the thing. Like, it's part cheerleader, part coach, part strategist. So don't underestimate your mindset, I would say.
And definitely. Because I was going to say, like, because you exude out so much positivity to your clients and to the people that you work with, do you ever feel like you're drained from that? And like, do you feel like you don't get to recoup and get that positivity back with someone else doing that?
That's a good question. So I also like to have mentors too, that's one reason. Another thing is I love my clients. Most of my clients, and what I mean when I say like I love having my clients, I love teaching people how to get premium clients. And for me, my ideal client, like when I get off calls with my clients, I'm so energized. Like I feel amazing because they're telling me how much they appreciate me, how much I'm helping them, like they're getting great results. So like I feel amazing when I get off calls with them. When I get off a call with a client and I feel drained, I'm like, okay, this isn't the perfect match. Like something's going on here. And that does happen. And that does happen sometimes because of course people are not always going to get the most amazing results. And sometimes people are going to struggle. And so helping them through that and helping them get back to the place where they're feeling really good and they're getting really good results, like that's my job.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is your purpose in life, to help other people?
Ooh, such a good question. Such a complex question. I started my career in international development. I thought I was going to spend my career alleviating poverty and inequality around the world. And now I'm a marketing coach. So sometimes, I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I spent like more than 2 years living in the desert in Peru, like, building water systems and whatnot. So sometimes I sort of feel like, am I not doing enough for the world? But really, it is so amazing when I look at the people that I've helped. Like I say, like, I'm here to help you build your dream business, to support your dream life, because it's so crazy and amazing what you can achieve when you have a business that you love and a life that you love. And this isn't just like, a fun hobby for people. Like this is supporting their families. This is, building intergenerational wealth. Like this is letting people live out their dreams. And so I try to look at it that way. And I don't know if this is my purpose in life. This is definitely my purpose right now. And I freaking love it. Like I love my clients. I love what I do. I love the life that I'm living, but I don't know if it'll be forever. Like I first thought I would only do this as an experiment for 1 or 2 years and then like go back to DC and get a real job. And after a couple of years, I kind of had to sit down with myself and be like, okay, like it's been a couple of years. Like, what are we doing here? And I was like, I really like this. And so I had to stop looking at my business as an experiment that might not work out. And I had to be like, this is really working. Like people love hiring me. I love doing this. It's time to really go all in. It's time to stop like kind of scotch taping things together in the back end. It's time to like really invest in real systems, real support, and make this a real long-term, successful, sustainable business. And so now that's something that I get to give back to my clients. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be forever, but I deeply love it for now.
Does it ever feel lonely for you being a digital nomad and like going from country to country to country?
Well, luckily I do have my online business manager and also a virtual assistant. So that's great. I can always vent to them. I consider them friends as well. We just had our first in-person retreat meetup in Barcelona, which was so amazing. And as a nomad, I seek out community. Actually, I love staying at co-livings. I'm part of a couple different nomad communities. So actually, I'd say I'm rarely lonely. I mean, definitely sometimes, but usually, even as a solo traveler, it's pretty easy to make friends and to find yourself in groups of friends. And I luckily have some amazing friends from home that I keep in touch with really well. But of course, I think sometimes I do miss having that like geographical community and like really investing long term in like a physical community and just being like, hey, what are we doing tonight? You know? But I think what I've gotten in return is totally worth it. And then I think on the other side of the coin, you know, when I'm in DC, most of my friends are married and have kids, and I'm not. So I'm kind of like the black sheep. But when I'm nomading, I'm not at all. And I feel very normal and very comfortable. And I feel like I'm living this really exciting life that I am in love with.
And I think it's really interesting how you say like there's a spontaneity to it. And like it sounds like, because obviously freelancing, there's an instability to it. We talk about this all the time on this podcast. It's like it's so unstable. But then having that, I guess, instability of where you're going to be from day to day. Do you think you have to be a certain type of person to be a digital nomad?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be for everybody. But I want to, something that you said freelancing is so unstable. And I think we have this idea that freelancing or being your own boss, having your own business is so much more unstable and so much like riskier than having a job. And I don't know how it is for you guys in the UK right now, but at least in the US, I know so many people who've been laid off lately, who, you know, they had these jobs that they thought was their source of stability and their source of security, and all of a sudden it disappears overnight. And what I like to tell my clients is that, yeah, there is a little bit more risk, right? It's a non-traditional path, but like bet on yourself, like you're your best bet, you know, rather than, I mean, again, not for everyone, but like rather than spending all your time and energy like making someone else rich, the dollar you can make for yourself is worth more, right? Because you figured out how to create something for yourself, create a life and a business for yourself that can be really stable. And, you know, for my freelancers, like this is a big thing we work on is, right, how do I have, you know, a more consistent source of high quality leads? Like, how do I have higher conversion rates? How do I have a pipeline of warm leads? How do I have change my contracts and negotiate my contracts so that I have more stability? You know, moving more towards longer term relationships and retainer models rather than like, you know, one-off projects that like don't end up continuing, right? So there's a lot that you can do in terms of how you structure your business. And I think for freelancers, I would say stop thinking of it as you're a freelancer and start thinking of it as I have a business, right? Because you're going to make smarter decisions when you think about your business model and when you think about your revenue model and your growth model than if you're just like, oh, I'm a freelancer, like I'm taking this project, I'm taking that project, and like, oh, like this month was much lower right? It's like you want to think about it from a long-term perspective and really looking to make it more sustainable and increase your capacity so that you're having less of that ebb and flow. I'm not going to say you can get rid of it altogether. Like down months are, you know, sometimes going to happen. But there is a lot that you can do to try to make it more stable and more secure.
I was just going to say the word business for lots of freelancers can be quite daunting because there are, you know, they want to do the creative or they just want to do the thing, but they're like, how they're not business orientated from the financial side. What is the trajectory? What is the business plan? You know, not everyone has that naturally, I guess. Like, do you have any advice on the steps that people could take to then simplify that thought process?
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's such a good question. And that's like a big thing that I help my clients with. So number one, hire me, obviously. But really that is a big thing my clients say is that I help them shift their perspective from like, I'm really good at this. Like I'm a writer or like I'm a tutor or I'm a consultant to, oh, I have a writing business. I have a tutoring business. I have a consulting business. And it's a really different mindset. And yeah, when people first come to me, a lot of times they're like, yeah, I just want to do, you know, I just want to do my video editing. I don't want to have to worry about getting clients, you know? And it's like, okay, that's fine. If you want to be stuck at that level where you're consistently struggling to get leads, where one project ends, you don't have anything lined up and all of a sudden you're freaking the F out. If you want to stay at that level, go for it. But if you want to have that more successful, more stable, more secure business, you have to start thinking longer term. You have to start thinking more strategically. You have to start stepping into that CEO role and thinking about, okay, what does my long-term marketing strategy look like? What does my lead generation strategy look like? How am I going to nurture those leads? How am I going to convert them into customers? And that's kind of the same thing for every business, is like, if you don't have a way to get clients other than referrals and your network, you are going to struggle. You are going to have more consistency. You need to find ways where you're going to be exposed to new audiences of ideal clients, where, you're going to be able to share and demonstrate your expertise with those people, and where people are going to be attracted to your message and see that it's a match to hire you.
It sounds like almost like you have to make sacrifices in terms of not always doing the thing that you want to do, but putting into place those strategies so you can do the thing you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think it's like, of course, you can always hire someone else to do it, right? That's another option. I think for a lot of freelancers and solopreneurs, there's such valuable skills to learn for the life of your business, because once you learn that skill and once you've mastered it, it's going to serve you forever, right? You have that. It's such a good investment to be able to master, okay, how do I market myself? How do I market my business? How do I create a legit sales process? But yes, it does take time. It does take time to learn. It does take time to implement. And that is time that you're then not spending being a writer or being a video editor, or whatever it is that you do. And of course, you're going to be happiest when you're spending the most time in your zone of genius. But a lot of these systems, when you set them up well, they don't take that much time. And I think that if you are sort of in that solopreneur space, in that freelancer space, in that consultant space, it's the best bang for your buck to learn how to do it yourself and to do it well, rather than either, like, especially if you're going to invest in learning how to do it from someone who has been there already, who can teach you how to do it faster, rather than spending the time trial and erroring it for like several years trying to figure it out yourself.
Have you had to kind of change over the years, like during the pandemic? Have you ever had to change the way you've kind of structured your business and how you get clients?
I have changed my business a lot over time. Honestly, and this is a big thing, I get to pass these learnings on to my clients now, but I really think that, like, in the beginning, even though I was successful, I was really playing it safe, and I was really afraid to like go all in. And I know it sounds so silly and so cliche, but like a lot of these things I'm saying, it's like I didn't make it up. It's like I learned it over time. Like in the beginning, I was going after, really early stage entrepreneurs. I thought those were the only people that were going to hire me. I thought they wouldn't pay me very much money. I was afraid to charge a lot. And even once I started getting clients and working with them, I was still like afraid to really put myself out there, even like social media is a great example. And even still, every time I go on Instagram live or stories, like I still feel like an idiot, and my clients will be like, oh my God, your videos are so good. Like, how did you get so comfortable in front of the camera? I'm like, I'm not. Like, every time I go on Instagram, like I feel like such a tool. I'm like, it's like, it's not something I've gotten over. I still have to like give myself a pep talk to be like, hey, this is cool. Like, we got this, we're doing the thing. So I think a lot of things have changed. I've changed the audience that I primarily work with and market to. I still have resources for early stage entrepreneurs, but they're different. Now they're now more like self-study courses. If you want to hire me as a coach, it's a much higher ticket thing. So I work with more, middle stage entrepreneurs who are like, they've done it on their own for a few years. They understand the value of what I do. They're like, listen, I'm here, I'm successful, I am supporting myself, I'm getting clients, I'm getting sales, but like most of my leads are coming from my network and coming from referrals. And if I'm being honest, I don't really have a legitimate marketing strategy that works where I'm consistently getting clients. And, I don't have an actual sales process that I'm sticking to all the time. So those are the clients that hire me and that have really good results with me. And it took me a long time to feel really confident, like marketing to them and working with them. I had to get over myself, even though, I'd managed like huge multi-million dollar projects, it is still hard. So it's like the mindset stuff that I'm telling you guys, like I've been through this myself. And now I get to help other people with it, which is really awesome. Oh, and the other thing too is that this is another big thing I tell my clients, or that I find when people hire me, is that truth be told, like behind the scenes, they're kind of winging it, right? Like there's no real business model. There's no real vision for the business. And so getting clear on that is a really, really important first step, because if you don't have a vision for what you want that to look like, for how much revenue you're going to make, how many clients you're going to work with, what that package is going to look like, what the price point is going to be, like, of course you can't get there. Like you have to create the vision first. And I think a lot of people have this idea that like, oh, if I just like keep putting in the time and like keep working with clients, like keep getting experience, like eventually the higher paying clients are going to find me and hire me. And that is not how it works. It's like you have to decide, I'm a match for this kind of client. I'm going to create a package at this price. That's the kind of client I'm going to work with. And you have to like do it, right? It doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from you making that decision and leveling up, and like leveling up everything behind your business.
Yeah. You need to find your niche. You need to know what it is that people need from you in terms of a service. And I think it's easy to get cooped up in, I want to do all of this and I'm really good at all of this stuff. But yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yes. This is like such a huge thing, is people trying to speak to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid. They're so afraid to leave anyone out. They're so terrified to miss any potential sale. They think that by speaking to everyone, they're going to get everyone. And it's actually the opposite. Like if you want premium clients and you're speaking to everyone, a premium client is not going to hire you, because they want to work with the person that works very specifically on their specific problem with people like them. And if they don't feel like you're speaking directly to them, they are not going to hire you. If your price point is too low, not too high, too low, they are not going to hire you, because they're not going to think, they're going to think like, oh, this must be not what's really going to help me, because, this is crazy cheap. Like this doesn't make any sense, right? They're really looking for premium clients, care so much more about time than about money. I think that's what I see with the more sophisticated entrepreneurs I work with. Like in the beginning, everyone is like terrified to spend any money, like pinching every penny, like, not wanting to spend a single cent. So they're like, okay, I'm going to spend like 50 hours, like learning how to build my own website instead of just like hiring a web developer. And then eventually you're like, oh, as a service-based entrepreneur, my time is literally my most valuable resource, because no one else can like write the way I do or edit videos the way I do, right? So time is really my most valuable resource, and I need to invest my money to help get back my time, right?
Definitely. And I think I think we can both agree on that, me and Francesca, that we're always scrambling for time, free time. So
yeah,
maybe we'll take on some of your advice today, Tasha. No, it's been really great, and you can tell you're so passionate about helping people get clear on their vision and get clear on their strategy as well. It's been a very inspiring conversation. But before we let you go, oh, of course. But before we let you go, you're not getting away that easy.
Okay.
We have got a game that we do with every single guest.
Ooh, okay.
Would you rather? Would you rather live on a peaceful tropical island or a big bustling city?
Big bustling city. That was really hard. I don't know. That's why I go back and forth constantly.
Would you rather have to start a new job every year until you retire, or have only one job for your entire career?
Oof. I think new job.
Yeah.
I think I already know your answer to this question, but maybe you'll prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend your money traveling the world but have few personal possessions, or have a really amazing house but never leave your hometown?
Yeah, you got it. It's the first one.
Let's be honest.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Would you rather have to wear all black every day for the rest of your life, or have to mix every color of the rainbow into your outfit every day?
I'm going to go with black.
What?
Solid choice.
Keep it simple, save that brain energy for like the really important decisions. Although I would say like I do actually really enjoy like clothes, and honestly one thing I miss as a nomad is like buying and having a bunch of cute clothes, because it's like every time I buy something I have to get rid of something and things have to be pretty practical. But I do have a couple like silly items with me that I'm like, there's no reason why I need this gorgeous dress with me, but like I have it just in case.
I've got it anyway.
You never know.
Would you rather be able to talk with animals or speak every language?
Oh my God, that's so hard. Oh my gosh. I guess speak every language, but like that's really hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's good because you're traveling, isn't it? It's good to be like omnilingual.
I mean, it's like all of human knowledge or like beyond human knowledge. So it's like, that's a really tough call.
There we go. Would you rather always be 1 hour late or 1 hour early to everything?
I hate that question, but I guess 1 hour early.
Would you rather be covered neck to toe in tattoos or have one big face tattoo?
I think neck to toe.
Would you rather have to speak in rhyme for the rest of your life or riddles for the rest of your life?
I think rhyme sounds fun.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
More time. Actually, I don't know. I guess I'll stick with time. I don't know though.
Well, you can always make more money, can't you? With your time.
Right, exactly. There we go. Okay. We're set.
And would you rather be a freelancer or work a 9 to 5?
Freelancer, obviously.
All the way. Amazing. Before we let you go, can you let us know where we can find you on social media? Where can our audience find you?
Yes, I'd love to connect with you all. I'm at Duraka_strategic on Instagram. My website is durakastrategic.com. And on LinkedIn, I'm Tasha Prados. I also just see I spelled business wrong in my little Huron or whatever. So I don't know if we can fix that in post, but I can't spell business apparently.
No, it's all good.
No, it's all good. We add it on in post anyway. So it's
amazing.
Amazing.
All good. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thanks for listening to Not the 9 to 5 podcast. If you liked this episode, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel, where we release weekly podcasts every Monday. Comment below to let us know who you'd like to see next on our podcast. Give this video a thumbs up and maybe share it with a freelance friend or two. Until next week, everyone, keep freelancing.